Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lyn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts. And today, listeners, I have to confess, I've got a really lovely, beautiful woman from Estonia. And I have to put my hands up and say that I found it very difficult to pronounce her name. And we had a bit of a giggle off air about how I was mispronouncing it. So I will attempt to pronounce and introduce Kairi Kirke Luhaäär. Is that anywhere close?
The beginning was better. Yes, hello everyone. I am Kairi Kirke Luhaäär, and this is the exercise to do at home afterwards with my name to pronounce it. Yeah, this is how the right pronunciation of my name is sounding.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Kairi. Kairi is a leadership mentor for CEOs and visionaries and executives and leaders, and a business consciousness coach. So a very long title there.
Yeah, it's actually all goes very well together. It's a title that has to be what it is, and it represents exactly what I do and who I am. So I think it's accurate.
Brilliant. Well, I think we come up with a really fascinating subject, which I don't think we've covered before on any of our previous episodes, and that is getting out of survival and into your power, and how relevant this is to not only just relationships but all areas of your life. So what led you to actually, I suppose, get into this as an area for you to study and help and support people around, Kairi?
Yeah, it's to be honest, one way I've always been this way. Like from one perspective, I've always been this way. Like I knew and I saw the world in a very specific way. Already from the age of 5, I remember episodes of me remembering and understanding that. I see people like they're acting in a certain way, but it doesn't match what they're saying they are about to do. Like this was my 5-year-old translating it into her ability of language at the time. And I always knew from a very early age that I own my life. Like when I will be grown up, like I will own my life, I will be totally in my power. That this was not in the level of words that I knew that, but it was on a level of understanding and knowing it. It might sound like bizarre, but there was a very specific state in me, state of how I was. The feeling was such a strong one. I just knew, like, this is how it's going to be. So everything else has been just, the pieces coming together in a practical, this 3D world and starting to show up as my life.
So there wasn't any specific time in your life where you had to, you felt like you was in survival mode and there was a defining moment where you felt like you overcame that adversity and stepped into your power then? It was just a knowing from a young age? Is that what you're saying?
That totally was moments of survival. Because even though you know it, I didn't see anything reflected back to me from the outside world, what I knew. So for me, it translated like, okay, I understand that I am totally like genius at something. I see through that survival level how people are operating, and like for me really simple things like, okay, if you just shift that and do a little bit this, like everything will change in your life. And I understood that none of that was held in any importance. Nobody was talking about it. Nobody was like showing any signs that they know about it. But in my mind, it translated that, well, it's not important in this world. This what I know, and this what I hold as my most like exciting knowing and gift, if you will.
So
that's not actually a gift. It's just not important in this world.
So can you give some examples then of your own life experiences where you felt like, you were in that survival mode, and what specific things you did or said to yourself or practices that you put in place that changed that survival mode into stepping into your power or getting into your power?
Sure. When I started my own business, I, as a good student, decided to learn everything there was to learn about coaching and how to do it, this business, and how to do it online. What is important, like I went head over heels from the not knowing, like, and I was in a state of like something needs to shift because I'm good at something and it doesn't translate. So I was in a place of like, I don't know. This was my very unique survival language, if you will. Like I was telling myself that I don't know what it is, what I'm supposed to do. Like I just don't know. Like it's impossible for me to know, basically. I knew everywhere else in my life, like everything else was working based on this level of power I was creating everything from. In my business, what I was here to do, I decided that this needed to be done differently somehow. And of course, I ended up in a loop of like, I don't knows. Like I kept myself in a really disempowered state of, I just can't move. I need to learn more and need to be more and need to educate myself more. So I learned and I educated, and none of it actually cut me closer to knowing, because I had decided that I don't know.
Yeah,
and
I suppose subconsciously that don't know repetition was running like a music tape through your head without even realizing how that was disempowering you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was a like rap song in my head all the time. Like I was just convinced that this became, and over time it became my only viewpoint to it. Like because early on, as I shared, I had decided that this wasn't for this world, like what I knew. So it was way back, put away on a shelf in myself. Like it's not important what I know. I have to find something that is accepted as something important to do, basically. So I was on the search of that, and that was my biggest way of had to be able to come over it, to get back into my power, to actually know what I know and actually create what I know and bring my own thing into this world, because that was most important to me. Like of all things, that was I was like, I have to be able to do that. Otherwise, I don't know how this life is going to be for me, basically. And
so how long do you think you struggled with, this mindset around, I don't know, and no matter what you were doing towards, addressing that by getting more educated and what have you, to feel like you was more enough? Was there sort of a light bulb moment where you thought, actually, you know what? I do know, and I've been using this disempowering don't know chant, and it's been impacting my life and keeping me stuck.
Oh, it was for a while. It was for some years, because it became more and more active. Like it maybe started like a slow and more quieter voice, but then at one point it was like really, really actively there, and I was like so aware of it. So yeah, and I entered into coaching world, and head over heels, learning all the things, and that was when the journey of getting back into my power kind of started. In terms of all those steps were obviously necessary for me to take, and I did them back, like moving forward, and then like kind of reversing it. This was the beginning, me getting back into my power by learning all the rules there were, and then letting go of all the rules there were to obey. Because that's what we are so afraid of, right? We can rely on the rules, we can rely on everything else, everybody else and everything else being like in some kind of like labeled boxes, like this is this and this is that. But what is missing is our own ability to peel back all those layers and come to our own power and be really truthful about what is already inside of me. Because that's what I see is the biggest glitch, where people can't come into their power. They don't trust that if they show up as who they truly are, it will be okay. They will actually survive it. Like they will actually be okay if they come out of their like hiding and from their like survival, and they become who they truly are.
I think some people, you know, and I say some people, I would say actually it's probably the majority of people actually are so unaware of their true magnificence and how powerful they truly are. And that is a scary thing for most people, isn't it?
It is, totally. Because it's the scariest thing there is. Like we believe that if we do something out of ordinary, like if we make a step that is, we don't know how other people will take it, it actually triggers the very like primal fears in us. Mm-hmm. It triggers the fear of actual survival. That's why I call it the survival, how to get out of your survival, so that those fears don't decide for you.
Yeah, because our primal fears, such as, you know, like the fight, flight, freeze, you know, if there's any perceived dangers, you know, we're probably, you know, okay and useful when we was in the Stone Age times. But, you know, now, although it's still ingrained in us, those fears are still, you know, in our DNA, aren't they? And they can be triggered by other things these days, other than, you know, the threat or the danger of a fierce animal, for example.
Yeah, and they are triggered by our own, basically our own thought process, and we have, it's not even the actual threat that is in your space or anywhere near you, but we have created those scenarios of threat in our head. And there's like, I call it a survival pit where we fall into. When something is triggering us, we get into that down spiral of the thought pattern that we have very carefully created for ourselves in terms of to protect ourselves on a certain way, which doesn't actually allow us to create all those crazy and cool things that we want into our life, like the amazing partnership and amazing business and like super health and all those experiences that you kind of know you would want, but you don't know, something is just holding you back.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Sorry, there was a bit of overlap there. I think for me, you know, what comes through quite clearly from a lot of the clients I speak to is that they quite often conjure up these threats, like you say, and those threats aren't necessarily real or even existent in their lives. They're just conjuring up it's in their imagination. That's enough to keep them stuck.
Yeah, this is exactly how it is. And understanding those is the first step. Understanding that there is a very unique way how you spiral down into your survival pit. Like this is a one thought, and then there's another thought, and when you have ability to start to understand that, oh, all those thoughts actually are totally without power. They're totally disempowered. Like they don't create what I say with my conscious mind that I want to. But I'm still every time spiraling down into that, and I repeat it and I repeat it and I repeat it. Of course, this is what will create my life. Because there's always one of those two present, and one of those two is a place you are deciding and making your decisions and choices. It's a survival or it's a level of power.
And, you know, one is from a place of fear, isn't it? And the other is from a place of connecting to your heart and a place of love, isn't it? That intuitive side of yourself.
Yeah. And intuition, when you touch that, is something that is actually our most natural operating system. But even right now, intuition is a very popular word in certain circles. And yet I see that people still underuse it and even misuse it, what intuition is, because it's meant to be our main operating system. And all of our decisions can come from that if we learn to use that.
So what would you say to people who asked you the question, how do I get in touch with my intuition? What do I need to do? And what do I need to be aware of to feel as though I'm actually operating from that space?
I would say to them, and I am saying that to them, that you have to understand what creates what. Your logical mind is superb, great, and the best for many tasks. It's not meant to be your ultimate decision-making tool. Like your intuition, your brain, your mind always decides based on the past, and is really very reluctant to go into something unknown, because that's immediately translated as a threat. So you just don't go there. It takes a lot of willpower to actually step into something unknown and into something new. And it doesn't matter if it's in your relationships or in your business. It's all the same. And your intuition is meant to be the operating system that knows the answers. It's always present. It's always streaming most cutting edge, if you will, answers to you. It's always, the answers is already prepared and ready for you. But we are not conditioned to know and to listen to it. Like magical things, and I had a lot of issues with the word magic, but in terms of how it was translated up until now. But truly, what we think is magic, this is what intuition brings into our field. This is the level that it's creating, like those oh my God moments, oh my God, this is truly happening. Like you'd have no logical explanations for the things that enter your field, and you will be just mind blown. But that's our natural state of being. This is how we always were meant to be. We just forget it for some 1,000 years, millennia, because that was always, it's always necessary for some reasons. But right now, we have different choices. We have different abilities. We have different capacity to use what is now present and open and available for us. So, yeah, intuition.
I feel that now is a very good time actually for people to practice connecting with their intuition. For those that might be listening in the future when this isn't a problem. At the moment, we're in the COVID-19 lockdown of 2020, which means that most of us have been self-isolating and housebound for months on end. And, I think it is giving that time for people to reflect now and get more in touch with their inner self and inner wisdom. Do you feel that, Kairi?
Yeah, I think we have given the time that we can actually, for many people, it's the first time in their lives. They can have the moment to be still and actually ask, what do I want? Because what has been presented through that, what seems like a bad situation in many ways, is actually a opportunity for many of us to take a moment, be still, and listen for a first time. I know many people who have said it's the best time of their life. It has been the best couple of months. And yes, they are fully aware that it isn't a great experience for many people. But yet, and we all acknowledge that and understand that. And yet we can take from it what it also brings with it, the silver lining, if you will. And many people actually know right now that something needs to change.
Yes.
Many people in there know that, okay, I wanted to create my own business. It's enough. Like, I've dreamed about it for many years. Many people know that I saw for the first time where my the weak spots in my relationships are, because people are more together. Like, they have time for the first time in forever to be actually day in and day out with each other and work side by side. And yes, it rises certain level of challenges, and it also offers you the opportunity to face those challenges and understand that we can change something. We can actually change something here. We can make it better. We can transform that.
And certainly, I think a lot of people have fear around change, don't they? Because they I suppose subconsciously keep themselves stuck, because what feels comfortable is what they've always done, and what feels familiar is where they've always been. And even if that isn't a great relationship or whatever in life, at least it's familiar, at least it's certain, and it's something that keeps them stuck, because they're afraid that if they do change or try something new, that takes them out of their comfort zone. That sometimes can feel more scary to them, can't it, than staying stuck, even if it's in an environment that isn't great.
Yeah, for many people, it's the reality. Because, as I said before, we have conditioned to translate every change as a threat momentarily. It doesn't even get into the level of our conscious mind. It's just this momentarily pushed away as a threat, as a danger, basically. And I think it's more than ever now like what we just, based on what we just shared, and this time where we're like this very unique time we are having right now in the entire world, is to understand that being in your power, no matter what it's related to, because there's one you, one you in your life. Everything is, you are the starting point of everything in your life. So you have to be able to say out what you truly want. It takes a lot of courage.
Absolutely, and not to be afraid of failure or making mistakes, because those mistakes or perceived failures are actually giving you feedback and evidence to show you that you're at least trying something new and doing something different. And if you do make a mistake or if you do fail, you just know you need to do something a bit different next time, don't you?
Yeah, and also coming to that and not caring if it's, like, I'm doing air quotes, if it's a success or a failure, because you are discovering a new parts of you that you never stepped into before, or weren't revealed, or you weren't living them fully before. And also understanding that every time you take a piece of your power back, because power is never taken away from you, you always give your power away, or we always give our power away. And this is our power, and only we have the authority over it. We decide, is it consciously or subconsciously, we decide who gets the piece of it or not. And to the degree that we are giving our power away, everything and everyone has power over you or over us. So it's a very important piece to keep in mind, or in your field, and understand that you decide and you can take your power back at any moment, and it doesn't have to take a lifetime to pull those pieces back. You can decide today and shift that today and change that today.
Wow, that's excellent guidance and pieces of wisdom there in that, Kairi. So thank you so much for sharing that with our audience today. If audience members would like to get in touch with Kairi, what would be the best contact information you could share with them?
Yeah, I'm most active in my Facebook group, so I would love to invite everyone who feels that it calls them into my Facebook group, so we can keep the conversations happening there. It's called Spiritual Leaders of the New World. So yeah, that's the most active place to be and to get contact with me.
Brilliant. Spiritual Leaders of the New World, I can say that. Trying to pronounce your name again might be a bit more tricky.
Totally. Yeah.
And of course, as always, we'll make sure Kairi's information and any other contact details that you might be interested in connecting with her by will be in our show notes. So thank you once again, Kairi, for your wonderful, fabulous insights and discussion today.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, Lyn.
And on that note, as always, I'll sign off with true love starts with opening our hearts. And until next time, goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lyn via the Facebook group Two Hearts Entwined, or search Lyn Smith, inspirational speaker, at LinkedIn, or email lyn@hearts-entwined.com. That's LYN@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.